M-I-C-K-Y M-O-U-S-E. Lisa, what? Lisa just said, they're what are you singing? What's the theme? Sing it again. Lisa Whelchel. Oh, welcome, Lisa. I met Lisa back when, what, you were 60?
It was 20 years ago.
We won't say
Let's just say it's 20 years ago.
20 years ago, okay. And she was just a kid doing the Facts of Life show, and a good kid. Was able to keep her head on straight out there in Los Angeles. And you made all of us very, very, very proud, Lisa.
Thank you.
And since then has married a good young man, Steve Cobble, right? And is he the assistant pastor of the Church on the Way?
We could leave it at that. We don't have to mention that there are 24 other assistant pastors at the Church on the Way.
Where Jack Hayford is the pastor. And you know what? I really think it says a lot for this kid with a lot of talent, always had a lot of talent, to make a decision to say, I love this man, I want to marry him, we're going to have kids. You homeschool your kids too, don't you?
Well, they've been homeschooled all their life except this one year. They're in a Christian school this year, although I'll bring them back home next year. We're going to motor homeschool them. We're going to go around the country for a year in a motorhome, so that'll be an experience. We'll be making some memories there. I don't know how good they'll be, but we'll be making some memories.
Well, at any rate, she's now a writer of books, and she speaks around the country. And she's been a friend to a lot of these people in the Christian music field for a long, long time. And Lisa, it's good to have you with us.
Thank you.
I really mean it. You want to talk to us?
Sure. You started singing the Mickey Mouse Club song, and I know a lot of you may not remember that I was actually on the Mickey Mouse Club, because there's the original Mickey Mouse Club, which was with Annette Funicello, and then there's the Mickey Mouse Club that was just a few years ago with Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera. Well, there was the lost Mickey Mouse Club in between there, and that's the one I was on. And the story I wanted to tell was, it just happened, I guess, probably 6 weeks ago, maybe 2 months ago. A friend of mine alerted me that they were auctioning some of the original cast Mickey Mouse ears on eBay. And I was so excited because I didn't have the forethought, back then when I was 12, to ask for my ears when I left the show. So I was so thrilled, and I checked onto eBay, and they weren't selling my ears. I wore the pink ears, and they were selling a lot of the other ones, but they didn't sell that one. And I was very disappointed until a couple of weeks later, someone called and said, "Get back on there, they're selling the pink ears." So I just thought, I've got to have these ears. And some of the other ears had sold for about $200, and I thought, you know what, I'm willing to go $500 for those ears. Of course, my mom said, you go as high as you need to go. You got to have those ears. You need to pass them down to your kids. And so then I marked the date when the last day of the auction. I put the kids to bed early, and I got down there. I wanted to monitor the last 30 minutes, make sure I wasn't outbid. And I sat down just right before to make a bid, and the Lord whispered to me, "Don't store up for yourself treasures here on earth, where moth and rust destroy and thieves can steal, but store up your treasures in heaven. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." And the reason that popped into my head is I'd been reading a book by Randy Alcorn called Money and God and Possessions, and because I was trying to figure out, I had left Hollywood to become a full-time mom, and I hadn't obviously made any money in those 12 years. We were living on my husband's salary. But because I'd just written a book, there was some extra money coming in that we obviously had lived on budgeted with his money, and so there's extra money coming in. I was deliberating, do I invest this money or do I give it away? And through this book, I had really come to understand that giving it away was the best investment, because it was investing it in heaven, where the risk was a lot lower and of course the gains a lot higher. So I really felt like the Lord was saying, are you going to take me at my word? And that was really hard. I was thinking, God, certainly you don't mean this. These are my ears. I want to pass these down to my kids. This is different. But I knew that he had spoken. And so just in case it wasn't God, I thought, okay, I'll go $225. That's my highest, because that would be an easy thing for God to let me have it, $25 over what the other ears went for. But as soon as I said that, I saw it just went right past $225. And I saw it climb even past my $500 mark. And eventually the ears sold for $600. I sent an email to the man who won the ears the next day, and I just said, just wanted to congratulate you on winning those ears. Those were my ears, and they had a lot of memories. And if you ever decide to sell them, just in case it wasn't God 10 years from now, please contact me. I'd like to, pray about it again. He sent me an email back, actually, and asked me to call him. And come to find out, this was a collector of TV memorabilia. And he also had my Facts of Life uniform, which I didn't know. And he also informed me that he would have gone a lot higher than $600, so I didn't have a chance. But he did say that if my kids ever wanted to come visit them, they were welcome to. So I thought that was a good enough deal. I knew where they were. I could take my kids to visit them. I thought that was a dead issue until 4 days later, I received an email, and the man asked me to meet him at a cafeteria because he had something he wanted to give me. I thought maybe, he had bought a lot of the ears. I thought maybe he might give me one of the other ears, the $200 ears, which was fine. I would be thrilled. Or maybe, Facts of Life shoes or something. So I met him at the cafe, and after a nice lunch, he picked up a bag, and he handed me my pink ears. And he said, and I was thrilled. I was beyond shocked, as you can understand, but that wasn't even close to the beginning of the story. He said, let me tell you why I'm giving you these ears. I spent 2 days restoring them, making them hermetically sealed to put into their warehouse to take to the different shows that he does of TV memorabilia. And he said, I was unloading it into my warehouse. I just popped in a CD of TV theme songs. And as I was unloading these ears, the thought popped into my mind, maybe these belong with Lisa. He said, now that is not the kind of thought that I would normally think. So I knew something was going on. He said, I'm not really a religious man, but I said, well, if this is something I'm supposed to do, then I'm certainly going to need a sign. He said, as soon as the word sign popped into his mind, he heard over the loudspeaker, you take the good, you take the bad, you take them both, and there you have the facts of life, the facts of life. And he knew at that moment that something or someone bigger was happening. And I share that story today not only to encourage you with just the intimacy of the Lord, who, as my father, would reach down and give his daughter such a special gift. But I also wrote down that story that night in my journal. And in my journal, I have a section called altars, because the children of Israel would build altars when the Lord intersected their life personally, so that they could pass those stories on to their children. And I not only want to share that with other people, I not only want to look back and read it when I'm tempted to spend money when I really could give away and make a big difference in someone's life, but I want my children to read those stories. And I want to encourage especially the grandparents to write down your stories, because they are altars. They are altars that your children and your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren will read. And there's nothing like the power of a story, except maybe the power of a story from your own family. And I want to encourage, it's kind of like what we're doing right now. These songs that we've sung that grandparents wrote, but they're still alive today. They are altars, as unto the Lord, where the Lord met them, and now we are being ministered to through them. And so thank you for letting me share the story, but I really want to encourage you to go home and write down your stories.